Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. I hope you enjoy. Story number 1, Faith, written by I Am the Hype, TFS. When humanity made it to space, they didn't know it, but they had become a target. It came as no surprise that aliens had gods of their own, but they couldn't have known just how aggressive these gods were, especially to newcomers. They were empowered by the collective faith of their worlds and saw new worlds as opportunities to expand that power. Wars were fought over faith, the winners receiving the worship of the now conquered world. That was how it was since before the mortal could remember, and that was how it would always be. At least, that's what these alien gods thought. But when they mustered the forces of their mortals to move on Earth, what they saw terrified them as nothing ever had before. For their entire existence, they had been either the sole god or pantheon of their respective worlds, the mortals all collectively believing and worshipping them and them alone. As such, they believed that Earth would be the same and their alliance would crush humanity's faith and then fight amongst themselves to see who would gain this new source of worship. Oh, how wrong they were. Upon entering the solar system, the mortal fleets could only see the worlds laid out before them, but the gods could see so much more. An aura of blinding brilliance encapsulated the Earth, to the point that the gods could not so much as see the planet itself. Uncomfortable with the implications of something powerful enough to block their sight, they moved forward nonetheless, still secure in their numbers. As they approached, the light became slightly more bearable and the world came into view. But so did something else. A mighty tree, one so large that the planet was simply nestled in its branches, along with 8 other worlds, though the others had a more mystical feel to them, not seeming to be bound to the physical space. Movement caught their eyes and drew their gaze to the bottom of the tree, where a fierce dragon and her brood tended to the roots, then to a squirrel that scampered along the tree's length. The gods' hearts began to pound in their ethereal chests, a feeling they hadn't felt in eons. They had seen manifestations of faith like this on other worlds. Each had their own realms and themes. But what now worried them was that the brilliant light and the tree gave off different auras. They were not from the same god or pantheon. This meant the world they had set their eyes on was ruled by at least 2 different faiths, which usually wouldn't be an issue. In fact, the division of faith usually made such battles easier. But they weren't weak. The brilliant light was more intense and contained arguably more power, meaning it contained a higher concentration of faith. But the energy coming from the tree and the realms that sat upon its branches was sharp and fierce, dangerous. A sound like a soft breath filled the ears of the invading gods, and a curtain of brilliance folded in on itself, condensing over and over until it took on form of a man whose face hurt to look at because of how brightly it shone. He simply stood before his world, staring at the gods while radiating a sense of ultimate calm and peace. He alone would have been enough to give the invaders pause with the amount of faith empowering him. But looking past him made them truly regret coming here. With their vision no longer obscured, not only did they now take note of the massive serpent that encircled the entire planet, but they could feel the eyes of thousands of gods gazing out at them, either from the planet itself or from the ethereal realms around it. Not all of them were equal, not all were powerful, but most were clearly foes. But there was one certainty. No matter their feelings of each other, they would not tolerate the poaching of their faith by outsiders. So stunned were they by the revelation that they forgot to give the order to stop their mortal fleet's advance, and when a certain threshold was crossed, the peaceful man's energy changed, and he gave off a new feeling, that of a sheathed sword drenched in enough blood to drown an entire world. As the alien guards desperately ordered their forces to halt, they noticed the man was no longer alone. 4 riders stood at his back, each with a horrifying aura of pain and suffering, except one that simply felt like looking at death itself. But that wasn't all. Hundreds of streaks of light struck out from the world and ethereal realms to land by the bright man's side, filling the space before Earth with not just other gods, but gods of war. Notable among them were a man with one eye and a spear accompanied by a red-haired warrior with a fearsome hammer at his side. A woman with blue skin and 6 arms, a robed man with lightning crackling in his eyes, and by his side a man who radiated bloodlust, and an armored woman with an owl on her shoulder. A woman who felt like 3 beings in one, and even looked to be if one stared long enough. And a lion-headed man who held a bow in his hands. These were but a few members of the army that now stood before the aliens. The battle line that the mortals could not see and didn't know to fear. But their gods knew better. They gave the order to retreat, then returned to their homeworlds to leave this place with all haste. The gods themselves didn't retreat. They ran. They fled in terror from the gods of humans, from the mighty faith of these terrifying mortals, from the war they knew they would never be able to win. End of story. Story number 2. Weaponizing the Cosmos Itself, written by Ninja Minion 93. Many species claim to have the most powerful weapons, unable to be stopped, unable to be countered, and unable to be defended against. The thing is, space itself has had a lot of research and development time, and it had created some truly monstrous things. Things no species would dare to try and study. Things that can tear ships down to their atoms, and things that weapons can't fight. The most tempting to capture was the explosive output of a star all at once in a supernova. It was able to rival the energies of trillions of plasma weapons and use their energy to make itself stronger before it exploded. Humans looked at that research and development time. Humans had been observing the destructive power of these events long before they were a spacefaring species, and attempted to find ways of directing the energy for their own personal use as soon as they noticed them. Once they were able to travel the universe, though, into the areas without stars and planets, and where no other species dared to go, they got their answer for how to do it. Humans didn't care where everything said not to go. A live star right as it was dying is extremely understandable. Nearly impossible to contain or transport even with the whole civilization using their energy to do it. Humans found a different way though. Stars didn't always die in a supernova. Almost everyone knew that. The dead husks of black holes, though, were seen as nothing more than trash disposal, though to most. Humans weren't most. Tests started in secret with the top scientists from Terra and its many worlds, in the black void between planets and suns. There were many of the destructive monsters already created and away from any prying eyes. For generations humans studied the beasts, learning more about them than any sane species could ever hope to know. Humans weren't sane though. With faster-than-light travel, it was possible to escape a black hole, yes, if you powered up soon enough. What happens if you don't try to escape though? What if something just goes along for the ride, stealing all the energy the black hole has erased from the universe itself? Humans soon found out that light itself could do this. Shooting photons close enough to the spinning black holes could energize them with much more than they came in with. It was found that reflecting said photons back into the same area just next to it gave them more energy and more each time it passed. Eventually, they found a way out. Humans didn't want a way out. More tests, more material sent to contain the light inside and energize it. Eventually, a similar concept to the quite simple Dyson sphere was tested, fully enveloping the destructive beast with a reflective surface, shooting some photons into it, and then sealing back up. The tests were luckily done with no one important nearby. Humans, unlucky the sphere around it broke when it wasn't at full power. A supernova, a destructive power outshining the brightest of stars and outclassing the mightiest of weapons. Humans found a way to do it. Black holes may be dying, but they weren't dead. They had energy to give, a lot of it. Humans found a way to use it. An unfavorable trade agreement with a species that many would love to see gone, a perfect testing ground for a new, unstoppable weapon. Stabilized, check. Photon delivery device, check. Ship able to transport the gravitational force of the universe with it. Check. Humans were ready. Traveling took longer because of the sensitive cargo. It wasn't suspicious, though, even the most careful of species. Minimal guns were on the ship, minimal crew on the ship, minimal power was in the ship. Nothing set off any red flags, and any scans were swallowed in but to the darkness of the black hole. Humans and everything. In the end, everything was gone. The shields on nearby ships acting like tissue paper. The orbital defenses turned to dust. The planet broken and consumed to recharge the weapon. The crew that delivered it barely had time to get out of the blast with their FTL drives before the black hole gave up enough of its own energy, then the containment failed. Humans didn't know that it would be that big. Nothing could survive the destructive power of a dead star brought back to life for a moment of absolute power. The humans had done it. They weaponized one of the most dangerous things in the universe. They turned trash disposal to destruction of the highest order. Humans did it. Humans were fascinated by the universe above their heads for so long. Humans found a way to reach it. Humans found a way to take it. We didn't stop when other species said there was nothing there. We didn't get discouraged by the lack of progress for years. We didn't bow to sanity. The ending result was more than anyone could ask for. A self-replenishing bomb that steals the fuel from what it destroyed. A supernova that tears through any defenses like paper. A weapon they can deny having as a natural phenomenon of the universe. And the achievement of weaponizing the cosmos itself. End of story. I would quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and Patreons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Lord Azrakal, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Dragzoon WRE, Holly's Sister, Arcadian. Thank you very much.